Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday. It is 4 p.m. ET, and we are so thrilled that you have found us here on Crime Time on A Mighty Blaze. I'm your host, Hank Phillippi Ryan, the USA Today bestselling author of 15 novels of suspense. My current book is One Wrong Word, which you can see makes a good cover face, which just went into a second printing, and I am really thrilled about that. I also, you should know, just sent in the first edits for book 16. All this could be yours, so we will see what happens with that. But we are not here today on Crime Time to talk about my books anymore. We are here to talk about the marvelous The Hunter's Daughter by Nicola Solvinic, who is coming to us from Ohio, and this is her debut novel. Hey, Shannon Hansen, I will tell you about this novel very, very quickly, just from my point of view. It is, well, first of all, look at the cover. We can talk about the cover. You see it's a deer with antlers, and then there is the woman in the middle. It's really, really chilling. And this is an incredibly sinister, hypnotic, heartbreaking in a little bit exploration of who we are and where we came from and why we do what we do and whether the past can ever be erased. It is absolutely a page turner, and so amazing that this is a debut novel. Nicola, let's talk about this, a debut novel, and here it is, and it comes out next week. What are you thinking right now?
Well, there's some abject terror going on, but I'm also really, really excited to be able to finally share the story with other readers because it's something that feels like it's been a long time coming because, you work on a book and you're kind of working on it in solitude for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it's going to be out there and it's really real. So I'm pinching myself a bit, definitely.
Yeah, there is a moment. I mean, you only have one debut novel, and if you look at the comments, you'll see that everybody is saying congratulations on your
Thank
debut
you.
novel. Lynn and Robin Stoll and Shannon Hansen says neat cover. Marlene says hi to everyone. Sherry Steuben says congratulations. Shannon Hansen wants to know how you're going to celebrate Pub Day. Tori T, hi from Indiana. I'm a fellow Hoosier, sister Hoosier. Shannon says, how are you going to celebrate Pub Day, that which comes next week? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm probably going to be chewing my fingernails down to the quick a little bit, and then I think my husband has promised to take me out for a nice dinner, so we'll probably do that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if there's a right way to celebrate a debut.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because when, hold up that book again, you have the hardcover version, which is
Mhm.
so gorgeous and so rich. When you opened the box and you saw those books, what did you think?
Oh my gosh, it's real. Because I'm so used to looking at this book on a screen.
Mhm.
And, it's just kind of amazing to actually have the tactile sensation of being able to hold it and to flip through it. And they did such a beautiful job with the art. There's this beautiful, I don't know if you can see it very well, cover page with a deer in the forest that I just adore what the art department did with this. It's just really lovely and it feels like a real thing now.
It's interesting because from the inside baseball publishing world, that's expensive to give
Mm.
art like that. So that means your publisher absolutely loves you. Berkeley Books, one of the best of the best, and that incredibly exciting. Before we talk any more about The Hunter's Daughter, let me tell you all quickly, if you are new to A Mighty Blaze, we are so thrilled that you are here today. If you are new, let us know in the comments. We'd love to welcome you, especially if you are a veteran of Crime Time here on A Mighty Blaze. We are thrilled to see you too. I see Shannon Hansen and Renee Herskowitz and Katie Wasland and Robin Stahl and Diane Dick and Marlene Waters, yes, who says the dinner out with your husband sounds perfect for celebrating. Anyway, Crime Time was started as part of A Mighty Blaze 4 years ago or so now, at the beginning of the pandemic, from the fabulous powerhouse duo of Jenna Blum and Caroline Levitt to keep us discovering new books, to keep us reading, to keep us talking about reading and writing, to talk with our favorite authors and maybe meet some new favorite authors like the amazing Nicola Solvinic, who we are meeting here today with her debut novel, The Hunter's Daughter. Let me tell you a little bit about Nicola. She has a master's degree in criminology and has worked in and around criminal justice for more than a decade in local, state, and federal levels. So interesting. She lives in the Midwest with her husband husband, and cats, where she is surrounded by a secret garden full of beehives. You really have bees? Are they your bees?
Yeah, well, they are sort of my bees. They're wild bees. I live in a city and I have created over the last several years a pretty lush garden back there, and there's always something blooming. And these hives of wild bees moved in. I have 5 that I'm aware of. There might be more, but the local university comes by and does research on them in the summertime, and yeah, it just hums back there.
I mean, does it literally hum? I mean, do you go back and you hear that sort of noise?
Yeah, it's just this very pleasant kind of noise that drowns out the traffic and
Where can I know we're supposed to be talking about your fabulous book, The Hunter's Daughter, and we will in like 4 seconds. But where are the hives?
Well, some of what I have are ground nesting bees. So they, drill little holes into the ground, and they're under there in several places that I found. And then I have a wooden shed where a bunch of mason bees have moved in, and it's not a shed that I care about or whatever. So they can drill as many holes as they want, but they're very actually pleasant, docile bees. I've never gotten stung. I don't think that the mason bees can sting, but I've got honeybees, bumbles, and a couple of other varieties that the researchers have identified. But I don't do anything to maintain them except make sure they have plenty of things to eat. And
You are saving the planet. You are absolutely saving the planet in Nicola's backyard. That is the center of Mother Nature. That is marvelous. Susie Baldwin says, that is so cool that you have wild bees in your garden. I think it's cool too. Speaking of cool, The Hunter's Daughter. As I said, this is chilling and sinister and thought provoking. Can you just tell us a little bit about the story?
well, it's about the secret daughter of a serial killer who has to catch his copycat. And she has to use the tricks that her father taught her in the forest long ago to do that. And the book opens with the heroine, Anna Corey, is involved in a really tragic domestic violence call and winds up killing a man. And this unlocks in her head all these memories of when she was a child and when she was in the woods with her father. And her father was the forest strangler, who was a very notorious and prolific serial killer who would kill women of a certain type and then stage them in these very elaborate scenes in the forest with bouquets of flowers and stones over their eyes and flower crowns. And it was just a very kind of elaborate, ritualistic type of crime. And for him, these were offerings to this entity that he believed in, this forest god. So Anna is in the process of remembering all these things and then trying to catch her father's copycat, which it's kind of interesting to watch how she has to dive into her father's thought patterns to catch the new killer.
Oh, yes. And it's one of the things that makes this book so amazing. The Hunter's Daughter. You were saying that she begins to remember what happened. Why does she where did the memories go? Why doesn't she remember?
Sure. When Anna was a girl, she was placed in the care of a psychologist who managed to lock away her memories so that she couldn't access them. So instead of kind of just repressed memories, she's got a substitute set of memories. And she grew up with a very normal childhood. She was adopted. She went to college. She's tried to be a good cop, has done the absolute best she can. She's a decorated sheriff's lieutenant until everything just implodes one day. Being that close to death brings back the memories of these other deaths.
I mean, is it possible to do that? Did you do research into locking away memories, or is this a wholly coolly imagined thing?
As far as I know, it is a wholly imagined thing. I've never read of any cases where that's been successfully done, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to explore it in a fictional story.
Definitely so, because it makes you wonder throughout whether Anna, or whatever her name turns out to be, would be better off not knowing what her father did, even though she was in his until she knew what he was capable of and what he had done. I mean, one of the really thought-provoking things about this book is that we wonder, would it be better? Did you think about that too? Would it be better if she didn't know?
Sure. And I think that we all in our lives have asked ourselves this question, where we've come across knowledge, whether in our professional lives or personal lives. Am I better off not knowing? Is this other person better off not knowing? And I think, for myself, I've always wanted to know everything, wanted to know the truth, wanted to know, but it can come back to bite you sometimes. And I think that's definitely what Anna is feeling in the story.
Yes, because you have to, she embraces this knowledge because it gives her some power. On the
Mhm.
other hand, it changes her whole sense of herself. I mean, a couple of questions that come out of that. Renee says, scary. Yes, indeed. You talk about that her father prayed to the forest gods, worshipped the forest gods, and that his belief became his power. And this whole book makes you think about the power of belief, what he believed in, and then who Anna, as Anna, believed she was, and what she did as a result of the power of her own belief. Can you talk about the power of belief?
Right. One of the joys of writing an unreliable narrator is how they and how all of us we create our own realities based on our
Mhm.
thought structures. Anna has created a very particular reality that is very black and white, right and wrong, very procedural, very logical. She believes in what she can see, taste, hear, quantify. And then with this opening of her past, she kind of travels over to the other hemisphere of her brain and is making intuitive leaps to solve the crime. She is, creating a reality that might be her father's, might be her own, but it is entirely based on belief and kind of faith, really.
Yes, belief and faith. And I think that's so interesting because she's comfortable being who she thought she was
Mhm.
until she realizes who she really is. But then the question is, and I hope this makes sense, who is she really? Can you be separate from your past? Can you create a new person, a new you? Or can you just not escape who you are in some, genetic essential level?
And that's really the dilemma for Anna. Can she break free of that and choose who she wants to be? Is her father's legacy always going to be operating through her? Is she ever going to be able to escape it? Or, can she think her way out of it? Can she love her way out of it?
Um,
Um, and that was kind of one of the interesting things in just kind of watching her operate across the page. I
yeah.
wasn't sure exactly what she was going to do.
And I love that. I think that's such a perfect thing you said. Can she think her way out of it? Can she love her way out of it? And all that is very clear and gorgeously done in The Hunter's Daughter. If you've just joined us, we are talking about The Hunter's Daughter, the debut novel by Nicola Solvinic. Um, and it also shows you how close one is to the other. The high intelligence in an evil way that her father uses could just as easily could also be used as high intelligence for good. How close the good is to evil. I mean, she's a police officer. How much the opposite of a serial killer can you be? Can you talk a little bit about that dichotomy of good and evil, and criminal and law enforcement officer, and how close they really might be?
Yeah, I think initially Anna is very much I buy the book. I am going, I have a clear sense of right and wrong, and this is what I'm going to do. And that was her thought process for so many years. And now that she uh, is feeling her father's influence, I think she slips more into do the ends justify the means?
Mm.
Does some things that are not on the up and up because she feels like she's got to catch this guy and she'll do anything to catch this copycat killer. And that causes her to slip. It causes her to do some things that she never would have done before. And she feels guilty about that. A big part of her does. But there's also this little part that doesn't.
Well, I mean, isn't that the thing that propels every good novel, like The Hunter's Daughter, is what does someone want? What do they truly want? And how far will they go to get it? And will they have to sort of upset their entire value system to do that?
I agree. I think that there has to be a cost to getting what
Mhm.
the heroine wants in the book. And she definitely has to pay it. I mean, she could implode her entire life. Nobody knows that she is a serial killer's daughter. She and her psychiatrist are the only people who know. So this already kind of puts her a little bit apart from her friends and her colleagues and the man that she loves. it's very easy for her to even retreat further into that and maybe fall someplace where she never would have wanted to go.
That's, the incremental decision making. You take one step or you discover one thing, and as a result of that, you do another thing, and then you realize that you're at a place that you never thought you would be. Shannon Hansen says, definitely added it to my TBR. Renee Herskowitz says, yikes. And Vicki Gregory says, I'm definitely hooked. That is, as we're going along, you can hear what a great story this is and what a great idea this is. What was your entree into this book? What was the first gem of an idea that you thought might make a good novel?
Well, I was thinking about crimes in general, particularly serious crimes, that there are these far-reaching ripple effects. They affect the offender, they affect the victim, they affect the victim's family, they affect people in the community. And it's not just a one-time, it's throughout time. And I kind of wanted to explore what that would mean for somebody who is very close to a very notorious set of crimes like this. So I thought about, what would it like to be a serial killer's daughter? Would she, seek anonymity? Would she try to come forward with that? How would she differentiate herself from her father? So that was the germ of an idea, and I just started writing. I pantsed the book.
Tell me about that.
I thought that initially that I would probably have to plot something out, and I do have a couple of manuscripts that are stuffed under my bed that I plotted that nobody is ever gonna see. They will never see the light of day because they're that bad. But this one, I felt like it came together and it just sort of wrote itself, so I'm very
Well,
happy.
we know it, Nicola, it didn't write itself. Let me just tell you that. But tell us a little bit about how that felt. So you sit down and you type the words chapter 1, and you begin with this novel. Let me just see what the first line is. And listen to this, called Awakening, chapter 1. The first time I killed a man was on Tuesday. I mean, how are you not going to read that, first of all? And was that always the first line?
No, that was honestly the first line that came to my head. I wanted to have a hook that would be suggestive of the further crimes that our protagonist might commit. So it just kind of flowed from there. I knew that I wanted to have the inciting incident of her having her break with her ordinary life in the first chapter. And so there's a killing.
And that triggers her memories, as we've said. But I wonder, going back to what it would be like to be the daughter of a serial killer, because once you know that, you can never not be that. In every description of you to everyone, whether they say it out loud or whether they just, sort of give a little nudge to the other person, that's who you are. And it is someone else setting up the rest of your life. And she faces that too.
That's one of her fears throughout the book, is that her secret will be revealed.
Mhm.
And it's a huge conflict of interest for her to be working on this case with her father's copycat. I mean, her entire life would be entirely imploded. So yeah, that's the secret that she's trying to keep throughout. And it's threatened by an individual who is sort of obsessed with her father and is kind of a collector of serial killer memorabilia. And he has done a deep dive into her past and has almost tracked her down. So
Well,
she's
we should say, and I'm not sure if we said this, forgive me if we already did, but the point is that he killed people in the past, and now it looks like there's a copycat.
Mhm.
And does she know enough to help solve these copycat cases? And what will happen if she does help? And should she help? And what will be revealed if she does help? That is The Hunter's Daughter. You have such experience in the criminal justice system. How did that inform you writing this? It feels, reading the book, the law enforcement elements are so authentic. I mean, you totally know your stuff, and it's all in here in a very seamless kind of way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think the thing that I gained the most was just having a kind of the background and the verisimilitude of, what it's like to be listening to the radio chatter, the terminology that's used, the statutes that are applied. just kind of as window dressing for this horrible crime that never occurred in the real world. And these people that never occurred in the real world. For me, it was, mostly creating a sense of, does this make the story ring true?
Yes, it certainly does. And we get a real insight into how certain departments of law enforcement look at crime, look at criminals, look at suspects, look at investigations, look at the people around the crime. And again, whether they're going to cut corners or incrementally make decisions that they shouldn't make to get what they want. Did you see that in real life?
My role in real life was actually really, really mundane. I never did anything truly exciting or interesting. Mostly, I just
Not
observed.
you. That's we're laughing because you know that's not true. That's not true. But take us a little bit
Absolutely
inside of
true.
what you did do.
It actually is true. I mean, I never really, I was never an investigator and I never got to investigate any, exciting crimes or anything like that. I was more involved with data. So I was able to just sort of observe uh, people who were in those roles.
Oh no, I love that. I think they say that an administrative person, a data person who takes in all the information and sees what everybody is doing, and nobody is expecting for them to be as wise as they are. They're the people who really know the stuff and they know how the system works. So I think that's really exciting, and you can feel that authenticity in the book. If you just joined us, we're talking about The Hunter's Daughter. It's just kind of audacious, though, to think about writing a book. I mean, you said that you had some under your bed that nobody's ever seen. What was the first moment that Shannon Hansen says, I'm hooked, must get my hands on a copy? And that reminds me, Shannon, thank you, that Nicola is giving away a copy of The Hunter's Daughter to one lucky commenter. I should have said that 20 minutes ago, but hey, you're still here and everybody's still here. So leave a question or a comment in the chat, or even just general adulation about how much you're hooked and can't wait to read this book about the Hunter's Daughter, and you will be entered to win on the spin of the Wheel of Fun to win a copy of this book. So going back, how did you decide that you could write a book?
I think that I was having an unusual moment of high self-esteem. But I have always loved to read. I always have a giant TBR stack at my bedside. I am always reading, listening to audiobooks. And I thought, well, maybe I should try it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's not going to cost me anything to do it. So,
So you said you had some other books that you plotted that would never see the light of day.
mhm.
What was it about this one that made you think this will work? Do you think it was the pantsing? Do you think it was, I mean, that moment of like high self-esteem mixed with, complete naivete? That's what we
Mhm.
all have. There's this balance of, I'm going to write a book and how hard can it be, and just think the, the confidence mixed with naivete. I think we all have that. But was there something that you knew as you were writing this that felt different?
Honestly, I thought that this was going to be, I might self-publish it and maybe 20 people would read it. But I really was surprised that it connected with other people to the degree that it did. That is just a complete and utter shock to me. And, I think that you're absolutely right. Everybody thinks that they can write a book, and I thought that I could too. Fortunately, I had not encountered anybody who said, "Oh my goodness, this is such incredibly hard work, you moron."
And had we but known, right, we never would have done it. If somebody would have said, "Go back, you can't do it, it's impossible." What was the
Right.
first? Tori T says this book sounds so good. It is indeed so good. The Hunter's Daughter. Who was the first person not in your family to read this? Do you remember and love it?
Yeah, I actually asked my husband to read it, and he's also a vast reader and reads in all kinds of genres, and he really liked it. And then I think the third person who read it was my agent, Caitlin Blasdell. She thought that it was great. She had, a few edits for me to make, and then we were off. I mean, it's really kind of this weird Cinderella story. I mean, I keep expecting to wake up or my glass slipper to shatter.
No, but it isn't, because you worked on other books and you learned from them. and you figured out what worked. Even when I read the first line, you talked about how you wanted there to be an easy entry into the story, that you wanted the door to be instantly open to the story, and you had taught yourself enough to figure that out. As I said, you're on your way to your debut next week, and you were telling me earlier in the green room that you're working on another book. How does the reality of book one change, if it does, the writing of book two?
It's a very different process now. Now I feel like, wow, I have oversight and I have to perform. And, with the first book, if nobody bought it, then nobody would ever know. And, this one, I feel like, I've got to more consciously focus on making sure it's good rather than just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and, just writing what I felt like. So
Is it is Berkeley publishing the next book as well?
yes. Mm-hmm.
So now what you have now is one of the best publishing companies on the planet.
They're
Waiting,
wonderful.
tick, 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 no pressure for your
Right.
for your next book. But on the other hand, that's got to be kind of exciting.
It is extremely exciting, and the team at Berkeley is great. My editor, Jen Monroe, is just amazing. She got what I was trying to say with the first book, and she gets what I'm trying to say with the second book. And it's just great to have that kind of positive feedback. Everybody has just been absolutely fantastic, and I am so grateful that they took a chance on me and my books.
And let me just say one final thing before we take the question. That you're talking about your agent reminded me that in your acknowledgments you say telling tales is strange work. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's not anything that I think I would have, 10 years ago thought of as work, because I had a very specific idea in mind of, you get up and go to work every day and it's work. And this is a different kind of getting up and going to work every day. It's telling a story and also trying to keep the audience in mind and find something that they will enjoy. So it's not really work.
And it's really successful, whether it's work or not. It's really successful. Nicola Solvinic with The Hunter's Daughter. Congratulations on this. Let's take some questions from the audience. I know we have some questions. Vicky says, did you go into how and why the psychologist chose to lock the memories away? How and why? Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. When Anna's father was arrested, she was 12, and she was essentially in the process of being abandoned by her mother, who wanted to start over again. So this, of course, is a thing of very dubious ethics and hopefully would never happen in the real world. But the psychiatrist who was treating her chose to try to lock these memories away and to give her a fresh start with a new adoptive family. I mean, there's a quagmire of ethical issues with that, but I think that her intentions were good. She was trying to erase the past and give her a chance to have a normal life.
So sort of saving her psychologically.
That was the intent.
Yeah, absolutely. So who else has a question? Will you write another book with the same protagonist? Asked Vicky.
I don't think I'm quite done with Anna. And as I'm working on book two, I realize that there are things that I did not get to address in the first book. So I am very excited to get to spend another book with Anna, and I hope you will be too.
Yeah, that's interesting. What a different character she would be going through this journey. She'd come out very differently. I'm not going to say anymore about that. Although Vicky Gregory says, glad you're not done with Anna. Renee says, when and where do you write?
I know that there are a lot of people who can work in coffee shops and in noisy environments like that, but I can't do it. I do most of my writing either in bed with a laptop or sitting on the couch, usually listening to music, and it's usually late at night after everything is really quiet and I don't have, the list of things that must be done going in my head.
Exactly. I think we have time for one more question. Diane Dick, I say, oh, well, then we'll do that. Oh, come on, let's go back to Katie's question. Which was, do you read thriller books too? Do you read thriller books too, as well as write them? And then we'll take Diane's question.
Yes, yes. I love Karen Dione. I love Jennifer McMahon, Laura Nassett, Catherine McKenzie, Georgina Cross. I love reading thrillers. My
And
TBR stack is always like this tall.
that's so great. Absolutely so. And so many of those authors have given you great blurbs
Oh,
for The Hunter's Daughter. And that's wonderful. You know, this is one of the wonderful things about the crime fiction world is how you make a pal and they write a good book. And it's so much fun to be able to say, yes, 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 you should read this. Diane Dick asks, did you keep the original title?
no. And I really wasn't, all that inspired when it came to an original title. My wonderful editor, Jen Monroe, came up with The Hunter's Daughter, and I thought it fit so much better than any ideas that I had because
Can you tell us what they were?
I think what did I come up with? I don't know, I think it was maybe Daughter of Darkness or something
Oh, okay.
really, yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing.
But you have a very, no, no, no. But you have a very nice line about going into the darkness at the end, and that is, I thought that was really gorgeously written and
Thank you.
incredibly poignant. So, but I do think this is a marvelous title and a marvelous cover. So, congratulations to you and to Jen for coming up with the title and for being such a terrific team. Should we spin the wheel of fun now and see who wins a copy of The Hunter's Daughter by Nicola Solvinic? And the winner is, oh, I see some new people here today. That is fantastic. Love seeing that. And the winner is Susan Nygren. Yay, Susan. That is marvelous. Susan, you will get some info about how to email me, and I will email the executive producer who will email Nicola's producer, and who will then get a book, and then they will send it to you because that's how it works. But what congratulations, and that is marvelous. I know you will absolutely love this book. Before I let you go, Nicola, let me just tell you all, next Tuesday, we are double booked, and this is the only place where that's a good thing. At 3:00, we will talk to Stuart Turton, whose book, The Last Murder at the End of the World, is quite astonishing. It is the end of the world. There are 151 people, something like that, left in a certain place because the fog has killed everyone else. And they live in a sort of attempted utopian community where everybody is trying to keep each other alive, and then someone is murdered. And as a result, or maybe afterward, becomes the real end of the world, and can they stop it? So just a little chirpy, a little mystery. It is chilling, it is thought-provoking, it is unusual, it is unique, it is unlike. Diane says, I love Tuesdays and finding new authors. Stuart Turton, who wrote The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. You remember that? It was an amazing book. This is just as risky and unique and fantastic, The Last Murder at the End of the World. So he will be here at 3:00. And then at 4, Anthony Horowitz, his new book, Close to Death, which, Crime Timers, I'm telling you, is a work of absolute genius. Reading this book is like playing 3-dimensional chess, maybe 4-dimensional chess. It is clever and funny, and I never know how Anthony Horowitz does it. Just do not miss this book. So be here next Tuesday at 3 and 4 for two astonishing authors. And you already heard an astonishing author. Thank you, London. This is my favorite part of Tuesdays. Thank you. It is ours too. And you've already also met a new amazing author today. We are here to celebrate. And a week before the book comes out, you are the first to hear about The Hunter's Daughter by Nicola Solvinic. Congratulations on everything. This is marvelous.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you and your readers taking the time to spend some time with me and talk about my book. I really appreciate it.
It's our complete pleasure. We really love having you here, and we wish you all the best and cannot wait to hear about your next book. You send that to me. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to read it. And all the rest of you, we will see you at 3:00 next week on Tuesday for Stuart Turton, 4:00 for Anthony Horowitz. Until then, remember, it is always safe inside a book, and we will see you next time.